I'm sure this has been a similar story for many of you, but it has been very tricky to stay motivated on working on projects. I basically had to kind of put this house on hold for a while. That last video had all that filmed already. It's been 2 or 3 months minimum, maybe longer, since I have done anything to this house. And I got an email that made me have to come on back down here and unlock the doors. A request for a Simply Safe sponsorship. So they are a sponsor of this video, and I'm very proud to have them back, as they were the first sponsor of anything I've ever done. So very pleased with that. I'll tell you more about them soon. Let's get started. I think I just want to kind of ease back into the project, not do anything too strenuous, and maybe just sweep some stuff up. The last video ended with me working in the upstairs bedroom, removing the drywall and insulation. Now I am in the stairwell. I'm going to remove all of it off the exterior wall while I consider if I want to remove the drywall on the wall on the right-hand side of the stairs. That gets the wall ripped out of the stairwell, so now I can get some insulation in there. Next up is coming in the upstairs bedroom and doing the wiring.
Yesterday was a long, hot day, but I got a good amount of work done getting the wall ripped out of the stairwell and then getting this room wired. I want to today resolve all the wiring, so it's a mix of 14 gauge and 12 gauge wire for everything, just when the last person wired it up, so I'm kind of getting all that straightened out. Getting all the receptacles on 12 gauge, which is a 20 amp circuit, then 14 gauge wire, and a 15 amp circuit for the lighting. The lights that I have to be concerned about are the stairwell and the ones in this room. So I could tie them into an existing circuit already, or I can run a wire and have them on their own separate breaker. So I can either run that wire down the duct. So this is always a tricky thing. It's like plumbing. You've got to figure out ways to get all of your wiring to the breaker box and to where the devices that'll be on that circuit are. I can also run it right through the floor down here, through the living room, and right into the basement. This drops right down on top of the panel, so I could go there. But say I come up there, that supplies these receptacles with power, but then I've got these over here, these two, and then also I've got that one over there. I may change this, I may put another one over there. So I've got to somehow get power to everything, and sometimes you can burn a lot of wire up if you don't think about it. For example, you could just run a wire up and over down to that one, and then up and over down to that one. And that sometimes is the only way to do it. But then you could also go down into the floor and come up, because I got the ceilings ripped out below. But there's no good way to get into this wall from underneath, because that wall is sitting on the framing that you kind of come up beside when you're coming up the stairwell. You could also come off this one up and over. So that's kind of the challenges you need to think about. As far as lighting goes, what I ended up doing, this existing bracket was already here, so this is one that will support a ceiling fan. So I think that is what I'm actually going to do. There was just a normal boob style light in here, so I think I'll go ceiling fan on that bracket. Then I added the can lights. They'll be on separate switches. So there's a 2-gang box, so there'll be 2 switches. One to turn on the ceiling fan light combo if I do a light, and then the can light. So a lot of light, but then you can separate it and just have your fan running at nighttime if you'd like. That's that. I think these are pretty cool rooms. These are the most interesting rooms in houses I've renovated because of these vaulted ceilings. You just end up with higher ceilings and cool angles and stuff going on. But yeah, let me get back to it, and hopefully today goes as well as yesterday. pretty much got the wiring taken care of in this room. I just need to attach this home run wire to this box, and then I'm going to take power under the floor and go over to this, and that'll tie that to this. And as far as that switch I was just working on in the stairwell, right now it's just set up to where you can turn it on and off up here, but I think I need to make it a three-way switch to where you can also turn it on and off at the bottom of the stairs. So I need to change the direction I wired things a little bit, pull a wire off the light, bring it down to the switch, and then run, that's the power wire I was just referring to, and then run another wire back up to the light, and then a 3-wire down to the bottom of the steps, and then I should be good. Like I said, it's set up right now just so we can turn it on or off up here, so that could, not work as good. I'll put a 3-gang box down there at the bottom, so that'll turn on living room lights, porch light, and then stairwell light, and then this, of course, up here. Really, even having this here is kind of silly. I should probably have it somewhere like on this wall, and I may do that since I'm kind of switching things, so I just kind of paused on that. I got a snack, and I was sitting in my truck. It said that it was 103 degrees right now. That's sitting in the, my truck, which is a black truck sitting in the sun. But I'm basically in an attic right now. It is so hot, so I think I'm going to run to Lowe's, get that wire, and then maybe come back, work in my shop on the farm table mini-series that we kind of started here on these videos, and then come back here this evening. As mentioned earlier, this video is sponsored by SimpliSafe, who makes a great security system that I have installed here in my house. This is the second video of mine that they have sponsored, and in the first video I did for them, I did a tour of the house along with showing the system. Everything in the house is pretty much the same. It's been about a year. This door is coming off the hinges, a lot more toys and artwork strewn about. The aquarium that once lived beside the sink with the neons, sadly they met their demise, so that's no longer there. It's just parked on the back porch, drain the water. But as I said, the system has been installed for about a year. No dramatic break-ins to report, but one thing that did happen that really helped me out, I have an entryway sensor on the back door along with all the other doors and windows. One time I came in through this door, again, keep in mind I have a toddling baby, came in and I went about my business, and then a couple minutes later I heard a little chirp. Let me show you what that sounds like. Listen. Well, that noise right there alerted me that that door had opened. What happened is I hadn't actually shut it, and then the wind blew it open. That may not sound like a big deal, but when you've got a little baby, and let me show you what this back porch looks like. This is a nasty fall. This gate wasn't even here. The previous owner was like 70-some years old, and I heard the tale that somehow she went through this handrail and all the way down there and somehow didn't, I don't know, end up dead, much less hurt. So if you are a parent, you'll know that even the idea or a close call is almost as bad as if something happens as far as the way it makes you feel. So that was one very, I'd say, small thing in the scheme of things that could happen with a security system, and that really did help me out. Is the rest of the system is located here in the living room and throughout the house. There's the base station, keypad by the door, motion sensor above that door, glass break sensor here. The water sensor that I have is in the laundry room behind the washing machine, and a panic button in the bedroom. The whole system has been very simple, intuitive to use. Also forgot, I've got a camera over there in the corner, faces throughout the whole house. I've got a small house, that makes it easy. But these systems are extremely customizable, so whether you have a small house or a huge house, or whether you move, you can always upgrade that system and add the sensors that are needed. And the only tool that I used was a screwdriver to do the installation. Let me tell you a little bit more about SimpliSafe, and then we'll get back to work. This sponsorship means a great deal to my YouTube channel. SimpliSafe is an excellent company, and because of their support, I am happy to tell you about their incredibly effective, reliable home security that will make sure your home is safe. Your home will be professionally monitored 24/7, and if anything at all happens, they'll make sure the police get called. They have all kinds of really thoughtful features that cover every window, room, and door, plus tons of extras like water sensors, temperature sensors, and more. The entire system is really easy and intuitive to use. Again, the only tool I used was a screwdriver to poke a hole and tighten one screw. Their pricing is fair and honest and comes out to 50 cents a day, and that's without any kind of a contract. Their system has you equipped for worst-case scenarios and will still work if you lose power, Wi-Fi, or the system is attacked. We live in a very unpredictable world, and this security system gives me an edge over the unknown. I'm the kind of person who has insurance on my insurance, so having this system is a no-brainer. And being a person who DIYs my way through everything, why wouldn't I want to install my own security system?
If you're concerned about setting the system up yourself, don't be. It comes with a very clear setup guide with text and pictures, and there's plenty of content online that'll guide you through the process. Well, thank y'all for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the look around as well as hearing about SimpliSafe. Be sure to go to simplisafe.com/homemadehome for more information. Welcome to the workshop, everyone. Last we left off on the farm table, we had put together the base, and in this mini episode, we're going to hopefully get the top done. First thing I'm going to do is lay out the tabletop boards and see how many I need and what looks best. I think once I get all the tongue and grooves knocked together, I'm going to need the additional board, and then I may have to trim the two outside boards. So the plan is to put some glue in the groove of the tongue and groove board. So these are 6-inch tongue and groove boards. That's the tongue, that's the groove. The tongue is the part that sticks out. The groove is the part that goes in. And I'm going to just put some glue in just the groove in hopes that too much glue doesn't get up on top of the tongue. And you might see that. So I'm not looking for some sort of crazy glue joint here because we're going to get a lot of strength from the tongue and groove in general. And I'm going to line all these boards up on this end because that end of the boards is the roughest end, and that will, the majority of that will get cut off. So I'm hoping these just tap together pretty smoothly. So I'll just bang them all together like that with glue, and then I'll put a clamp on. And then once the glue dries, that's when I'll cut the ends flush and then cut it to its final width, and then we'll go on to sanding and finishing. So the clamping got a little silly looking there, but all will be well. What I did basically is use these as cawls. That's just to keep these boards straight. When you start clamping something this way, it's a good chance that all this could buckle up and it just kind of fly out of control. So these just make sure that the tabletop stays in shape. These are just clamping straps that come from Harbor Freight, so that's just a cheap Chinese store here in the U.S. for those foreigner viewers. But any kind of a ratchet strap just wrapped around each other, wrapped around the table will work. I usually use these, as you saw in the last mini episode of the farm table build, to clamp up table bases, and they come with little corner brackets. So basically, do whatever you have to do. You could wrap a rope around this, tie it together, put a stick through it, twist it to tighten the rope up, and then do something to hold the stick to the rope. Clamping just needs to be something to squeeze them together. So do whatever you have to. Doesn't really matter. I find it easiest to do your glue ups in the evening and then let the glue set overnight. That way the next day you're able to get everything unclamped, sanded, finished, and whatever else you need to do. Using a track saw and a drywall square, I'm going to clean up the ends. If you don't have a track saw, you can use a circular saw or any other type of saw you need. Just make a line and then make your cut. Next, take a measurement and just repeat the step at the other end. Next, I'm going to cut the tabletop to width by taking a little bit off of each side using a longer rail for the track saw. I'm going to knock the tabletop smooth with 220 paper on orbital sander. That's just to get things cleaned up, knock back the hard edges. I'll apply the first coat of finish, sand that finish, and then continue on with the finishing. For finish, I prefer the Minwax polyacrylic for my farm tables because it's water-based, dries fast, and doesn't smell, so using it indoors is no problem. I use a clear satin applied with a brush. I'm going to go ahead and get the first coat applied, and then we'll finish up this table in the next mini episode, building the farm table. The finish was just applied, but you can already see how warm it's made the surface. And again, this is just a very thin coat that will be sanded before the rest of the finish is applied. To get a three-way switch on that stairwell, I need to pull the wire that I ran from the switch up to that light. It has not been cut yet, so I just need to pull that out, put the 14-3 wire from the switch up to the light, then from the light down to the switch at the bottom of the steps. Power is being supplied to the light from this workbox right here, which is the two switches that will control the fan and the can light. So I'm just jumping power off that one to the light. And then the way a three-way switch works is it will all occur between those switches up to the light. There's a number of ways of doing it. This is basically the way I'm doing it. Give it a second. About like that. That's about all I can handle for now. I started working sometime between 10 or no, before 10 this morning. It's about midnight now, and I still need to go back to the house, unload this memory card, and start editing the video to kind of see what else I need to do to kind of round it out. I have not been motivated to work on this house just because of how long I've been working on the house, as in over a year, not just today. And then it is just very hot, very humid. The house is full of bugs, and I'm getting lit up by mosquitoes at all times. So no fun. And then, everything else is going on isn't exactly a motivator.
So I really just want to kind of just walk off from everything and do whatever I want to do right now, but I still need to keep a nose to the grindstone, so hope that motivates y'all to do the same. It is very tricky. For me, one of the motivators was getting the sponsorship for this video. I was kind of about to start filming, but I was kind of putting it off because I've got some stuff to do this upcoming week, and I was like, I don't want to fool with it. I'd rather just get ready for what I'm doing. And but I got the request to do sponsorship, and that got me to peel myself off of the sofa. Wasn't really sitting on the sofa, but just to kind of get rolling on this project. And I'm so glad I did, because I was dreading fooling with this wall beside the stairwell, getting all those boards off, and then just fooling around right now with the electric in this upstairs bedroom. It's like being in an attic, up in the insulation. It is tricky, but I'm glad I did it. That is the wonderful thing about working on stuff like a house. I don't know what to compare it to, but it's when you get the work done, you don't have to do it again. There's so many things, it's just, it's like a broken record. You just have to keep doing the same stuff again and again. But when it comes to a house, you just keep inching towards getting it finished, and when it's done, and it's going to start making you money. It's not going to be a cost anymore. When I have these houses and they're not occupied, there's still taxes, there's still everything. The insurance keeps on rolling. I usually keep the water in my name when a place is empty. Sometimes I transfer electricity into my name. Sometimes I don't have electricity on in between renters. So all those are continual costs. As soon as you get something rented, all those costs go away. So it's not only making you money, it's you don't have certain costs, or at least they're covered. But yeah, I think that's about it. Again, check out that first link in the description below for Simply Safe, and thank you to them and everyone involved in that sponsorship. I know I say it in each video that I've had a sponsor, but thank them in the comments below. It makes a huge difference. Again, they made this video possible. Also, I get tons of questions on buying these houses. The link below that one will be to the book if you want to check that out. Answers all the questions that I probably don't really have time to be answering every time in emails. So I think that's about it. Check out the Square Inch Tiny House channel. All those. The description's full of links and full of things you can click on if you want more. And you can go to my website, thehomesteadcraftsman.com, which links to my other channels. Thanks for watching. See you next time.